Are you surrounded by assholes? Do some people just make you want to tear their heads off and you just want to punch them in the mouth or somewhere else and just kick them down a flight of stairs? Well, you're in luck because today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to
Anger
deal
management.
with I know, right? How to deal with assholes. This is the Existential Stoic podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. What's going on, Danny?
What's up, Randy?
Now, Danny, I know for a fact that there's something wrong with everybody else and nothing wrong with me. But I'm curious, do
That's
you have
always
any
true.
do you have any assholes in your life, people that just rub you the wrong way?
I mean, I think there's a lot of them out there for sure. Yeah. And, I think you know, there's more platforms now than ever for people to be assholes and to do so with and I think online you get that shield of your screen, so people feel freer to be it. And then you also see it though, actually like out and about in the world too now. So I think there are a lot of rude people, a lot of assholes, a lot of jerks in the world.
Yeah. I find that like the busier of a civilization I go to, the more there are. Like when I'm out in wilderness, very few. Okay. But then I
They
go
did
to
not
like
travel
small
to
then
nature.
yeah, then I go to small town and it's like, okay, sure, there's the person at the supermarket who's just being a whatever. Or then I go to a big city and then it's just like, oh, galore. So
I
that
what
being
if that
said,
says anything about society,
yeah, they all
you know?
congregate in cities apparently.
Yeah. High
Yeah.
stress environment.
Um, so that being said, we're going to talk about how to deal with people who irritate you, and we'll each give a few suggestions. I will start first. This is something that I've actually been doing recently with people
Hmm.
that frustrate me. Is I've been practicing loving kindness with them. So one thing I do in the morning is a loving kindness meditation where uh, you wish someone that they're well, that they're happy, that they're peaceful, and that they're loved. And really, it comes down to the concept of like hurt people. Like, whose cat are you kicking? When somebody's in pain, they generally just want to make somebody. I mean, they just it feels good to make somebody else feel bad. So they
Yeah.
may not have intentionally be doing it to you, but they're just kicking your cat. And this loving kindness thing kind of helps me step outside the cycle and recognize that I mean, maybe they're intentionally doing it, maybe they're a jerk, but maybe their boss is really being a pain in the butt, or maybe their wife or their husband is just irritating them, or their children are driving them nuts, or there's something else going on that maybe there's a reason for it, and I can just be like, okay, I don't need to continue this cycle of pain. I can just kind of let it go, and I wish them well.
I like that one. It's what was it in the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying? They say only non-hatred relieves hatred, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
can't stop hate with hate. It just perpetuates the cycle. Although on a side note, in
Even though you'd like to
Dostoevsky's,
try.
yeah, right. I don't know if you ever read Dostoevsky's Notes from Underground. He's got a great line in there where he says, like when you have a toothache, you complain a lot so that you can make other people as miserable as you. And there's you feel good about it. There's a certain feeling of good. That's from a different perspective. But
Uh,
I think there is something true to that though. And people, when they're in pain, they do. They want to make everybody else feel that way, or when they're stressed, or when they're, you know, panic because of the future or whatever. They want everybody else to feel that way too. That's why people talk about the news all the time, right? And they're scared about the future. They want everybody else to be scared too, and to see a similar emotional response to validate their own.
mhm.
So I think that's a
Well,
really good
yeah,
one.
the cessation of pain is a pleasure, and oftentimes by making someone else's day bad, if you're having a bad day, it can cause a mild cessation of pain, and then that's pleasurable.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, this is on topic too, actually, but like the in our brains, the pain pleasure thing, it's like a seesaw. And when
We
you
have a
feel pleasure,
seesaw in our brain.
I know, right? Well, this is how they explained
How
it.
do I get on this thing?
But they say it likes equilibrium. So when you feel pleasure, it then pushes down on the pain side to get you back to equilibrium. That's why you
Mhm.
feel like the hangover. That's why you feel, so yeah, it makes sense.
Dude, I 100% agree with that, and it's the same thing with like problems because as soon as I solve all my problems, I'll just find anything, so I'll have more problems.
There's something to do.
Yeah.
I did nothing to do.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. That's a good one though. I like that. Yeah, so kill it with kindness, as they say.
Mhm.
My first one is don't engage with them. So I was thinking more of all the people that like to yell on the internet, the talking heads, all the nonsense. Like you can't win those battles. There's no point engaging. They're not looking for an argument. They're not looking for a debate. They're looking to get validation, and you validate by engaging. No matter what you say, it doesn't matter. You validate it. So your best bet is just don't engage with it.
Hmm.
Move on. And I think
Yeah,
that's the only way to deal with those kinds of that kind of asshole.
that's a very good one because it's like that saying, "Don't wrestle with a pig," because in the end, you both end up covered in mud. Only they enjoy it.
I never heard that one. That's a good one. It's the
Yeah,
truth. That's exactly it.
yeah, but that's a great one. Don't engage, and then it doesn't give them any fuel to the fire. Uh, my next one is super hard, super difficult. This is also something that I'm working on. Is forgive them. So, like, for a long time in my life, I have been of the attitude, no freaking way I'm going to forgive them. Like, not a chance, because this is clearly making their life worse if I don't forgive them. But I heard this
Yeah.
saying that said, uh, don't forgive them because they deserve it. Forgive them because you deserve peace.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
that
sounds right.
that really stuck with me because I'm like, I know that I'm forgiving for myself, but like I was holding these grudges against people because I thought it would impact their life, which it never does. Like they're super
No.
happy if they can mess my life up by making me hold a grudge. And
Yeah.
so, but I realized I want peace, so let's just forgive them.
That's a good one too. And that is a hard one because, it's like if you don't forgive them, it just keeps coming up. It's on your mind. It keeps bothering you. It keeps being part of your day. And instead of that, just let it go, forgive them and just, move on. You don't need to deal with that. And you're right. I mean, yeah, it doesn't do anything for them, but it does do something for you. And that's the important thing. I like
Hmm.
that one.
Hmm.
You have to be you have to be the person to take the action there so that you don't have to deal with it anymore. It's a good
Bingo.
one. Yeah. My next one is also very difficult, but try to see it from their perspective. So a lot of times I think, and obviously you don't have to do this when you're engaging with them, but like if you try to see it from their perspective, that can give you a window in to understand whether or not they're being an asshole for, a reason that you might understand, or for a reason that you might not understand and that you can't, there's nothing you can say that's going to change it, right? So think like internet trolls, like nothing you say is going to change it. But like somebody else being an asshole at work, maybe you find out their parents sick, or maybe you find out they're struggling with something, and then and then you can also take that into account when you interact with them, and maybe be more compassionate, be more sensitive.
Yeah, you know what's really interesting is that everybody always thinks that they're right. So like
Yes.
that's what I love about your thing there. Try and look at it from their point of view. Like I've heard it talked about called reframing. Where like everybody's going to think they're right in a situation. There's never going to be a time when someone's going to think they're wrong and you're right.
No,
Like that just doesn't
no,
happen. If they do, generally they apologize. So like you got to try and
no.
figure out like why do they think they're right in this situation? Why do I think I'm right in this situation? And maybe we're both right, and maybe we're both wrong. But maybe we're
Well,
human.
well, it's just that, yeah, right. A lot of times we're talking past each other, not like toward, not with each other or not listening to each other. So you just miss it. I don't
Yeah,
know what the other one is.
yeah,
It works there.
yeah, absolutely. So my last one is let God handle it, or let the universe handle
Oh,
it. So, like, this is something where I think in America we're a bunch of control freaks. Like, and I witnessed something the other day where I was like, geez, we are really control freaks here. But it's true. Like, we have to control everything. And I think just like letting the universe, the world, Earth take care of itself. Like, guess what? We're all going to die within 100 years. The whole world's going to go on without us. And we were just like a
yeah.
little drip in a story. So, why do we need to control this moment? Like, maybe the universe will handle all this stuff. If somebody is really being a jerk to you, maybe something's going to happen to them in the future that you don't need to do yourself. Maybe you can just let it be.
I like that one too. Just let it go and just kind of move
Mm-hmm.
on.
Yeah.
The world will take care of it. The world will deal with it and work itself out. And
Mm-hmm.
they'll work out their problems, whatever they are too. And then eventually, things will change. I like that. It's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That goes really well with my last one too, which is just ignore them. And I was thinking of, Nietzsche has this great thing where he says, like he wants to be a yes there, but where he can't, he'll just pass by. And the idea is like, for those people you can't reach or you can't interact with, you can't engage with or whatever, instead of getting upset, instead of making your life worse, instead of making things worse for you, just walk by. Don't even deal with it. There's no reason you have to, and
Yeah.
then
That's a great one. I mean, we feel so often like we have to do everything, but we don't. Like even
Yeah.
in the Bible, it talked about how, when Jesus was talking to his disciples, he said, like, do everything you can to get the message to people, but if they don't accept it and if they don't want you in your village, just wipe the dust off your feet and get going. And it's
Yeah,
like,
and get going
yeah,
fast because they might have
try and
stones
make
and
it
stuff,
work, but if it doesn't, that's okay. It's not going
Yeah.
to work. You're not going to please everybody. That's a great one. Yeah,
Yeah. Can't please everybody. You can't make everything right. So just don't worry about some stuff.
there you go. So there you have it. That's how to deal with some assholes in life. Because guess what? You're going to encounter at least one a day.
Yeah.
And
If not
unless
more.
you're living, in the country, because then it's less likely you'll encounter anybody. But that's all for the episode today. If you did enjoy it, make sure to like, share, subscribe. Find us on YouTube, also wherever you get your podcast. If you could leave a review, that would be excellent because reviews are like gold when it comes to podcasts, particularly those Apple reviews, and particularly if you give us 5 stars if you enjoyed it. Also, we're looking to create something that will absolutely make your life awesome. So we have a little questionnaire down in the comments or the show notes, or down in the description or the show notes. If you could take 5 minutes and fill that out, we're going to create something. And if you do participate in helping us create it, you'll have access to it for free. So there's a benefit to that. And thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you next time. I'm Randy. That's Danny. I'll see you later, Danny.
Later, Randy.